Hello, everyone. Hello, baby. Oh, I just want to say, yeah, hi. It's Irlianna again with Lucas Gabriel. You're misbehaving. I just want to look at your baby. Look, I got my eyes done. Mars and Gemini. I got my eyes done. Hey, here he is. He's happily. Okay, baby. He's happily done with his surgery. Yay. All 16 pounds of him. Oy. Anyway, so on with the astrology for this week. So welcome. It's episode 240 of StarSound Speaks. This is your host, Irlianna Samsara of StarSound Astrology. All right, this week, interesting things happening. A very, very magical, mystical encounter is in store for all of us. So for those of you who don't know me, I do Hellenistic astrology blended with modern, and I use whole sign houses. And if I mention dates here with particular times, this is all Eastern Standard Time, so just adjust for your particular time zone. All right. And also don't forget to like, share, subscribe. We're so grateful. It really helps the channel. So yay. Okay. Onward. Well, this is an interesting week. Okay, we've got the final dun, 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 dun. We're sick of talking about Mars and Gemini. Don't worry, we've only got days. Mars will be leaving Gemini at the end of the month, finally, right? On the 25th. But before it does, this is the final square of Mars squaring Neptune that takes place this week. So the highlights for this week is it's starting to happen now as I'm recording this, but it will perfect on Tuesday, March 14th, this final square, Mars and Gemini, exactly square Neptune. So part of the whole drama saga of Mars's trip through Gemini, where it went retrograde, it was also making that square with Neptune. So there were very confusing narratives. There was a lot going on with in many, we're not here to, discuss all of that, but I will say that it happened 3 times. There was a square. So it started in, the first square was October 12th. And you want to look back in your life and say, what happened during these times? Because there's some kind of a completion, and like this is the 3rd act. So the first square was October 12th. The second square, when it was in retrograde, so it was squaring and retrograde with Neptune, that was November 19th. And it was actually in that square with throughout really most of November. Mars was in that square. And so the final one will be this Tuesday, the perfection of it, March 14th. So this will be the completion of whatever was going on in our lives at that time. You want to look back and say, because you'll see that this is the first hit, the second, the third and final pass is like the 3rd act in a movie or a screenplay or what am I trying to say? Movie, screenplay, play, act, whatever, novel. So yeah, and what that would look like. Okay, well, I have to say, right now, this final square is happening. Mars's ruler, Mercury, is in Pisces, the dream world, the land of mermaids and mermen. Confusion can be very confusing. I will personally attest to that. My bank account, one of my bank accounts, it disappeared. Not only does it disappear, it disappeared without a trace, but the bank people didn't even know it disappeared, and I never got a notice saying that it disappeared. And I got, in true Geminian fashion, Mercury, the god of the 2 worlds. Every time I get different stories. Every time I talk to somebody else at the bank, it was like, oh, this is what happened. Oh no, this is what happened, and none of it agreed. I wanted to say, okay, you do know I do astrology. Well, you don't know that I do astrology, but you see, Mars is in Mercury is in Pisces, so I kind of understand this. I know why it's happening, even though you don't. Anyway, yeah, one of these days, I am the ferocious, courageous Leo. And one of these days, I'm going to say it. I'm going to say to these people, well, tomorrow they're supposed to call me. So I don't know. Do you dare me? All right. If you do, leave your comment below. Should I go contact? Should I tell them that it's Mercury in Pisces? It's not going to make a difference. I just want my account back. Anyway, that was one definitely interesting, almost like a Mercury retrograde-ish feeling where things just data and information gets flubbed. But anyway, yeah, no, on a more on another note, this is playing out in various ways. Here's not just the bank account. I found out, my sister told me, because Gemini is about relatives, brothers, sisters, cousins, in-laws, aunts, uncles, like that. Well, I found out that my mom's cousin is letting go of her car. She lives in New York City, and she's decided she's not going to drive anymore or own a car. She'll drive, she'll rent cars when she needs them, but it was just getting too much to, if you ever lived in Manhattan and anywhere in the 5 boroughs, how intense it is to try to keep a car and all that. So interesting that there is the dissolution of one's car is there. We also saw there were, how many train wrecks have we seen in the last few weeks? With that, Mars and Gemini ruling trains and transportation. We've seen that. But anyway, in this case, it was her losing, getting rid of her car. On a sad note, and this is where I'm going to put out a prayer alert for everybody. The energies of this week, and I'm about to describe the Cazimi too, which is going to be happening on Wednesday into Thursday, March 16th. Very mystical connection. It brings a lot of, it can bring an enormous amount of healing, compassion. But I want to just take a moment and say, look, my request for everyone in prayer and taking into your prayer and meditation is to have a lot of compassion for those kids right now, and youth, especially youth, that are angry and are lashing out, because that square with Neptune, it can, like, we can feel defeated. We've been fighting and fighting, and we just feel like we want to give up and we're defeated. And unfortunately, sadly, I found out again yesterday that a relative of ours in our family, the son is only 24 and he died of an overdose, and they think it was a suicide. And there's a perfect example of that. This is a very sad example of a Mars square Neptune, but that, yeah, it was pretty obviously very devastating. But he had had drug problems apparently, and but this a lot of anger and things, and you can just see. So anyway, just to say, put a prayer out there, and our prayers certainly make a difference every time. And so who knows, we could send light to everyone who is going through this, who is feeling this way, and hopefully could save lives. So just to be there for each other, it's very, very crucial at this time as this square perfects. Especially those feeling like they've lost, or lost the game of life, or lashing out in anger or frustration, or feeling that they've failed. If we have that going on, just forgive ourselves. Mantra, I love, Divine Mother mantras, Om Bakanze Bakanze Maha Bakanze Radha Savagate Soha, the green Tara, all of these things, however we want to do that in whatever way that works for us. Just open our hearts, have that compassion. Wednesday, March 15th, Neptune, there's an interesting Cazimi this week. A Cazimi is when the sun is conjunct, a planet is conjunct the sun. So that means it's like in the throne room. If you could imagine, like you're like the little peasant meeting with the king or the queen or whoever, and you have this audience, right? You have this audience, with the divine. And so this week we have Neptune and Mercury will be in Cazimi with the sun. That's fascinating. Neptune will have its own personal audience, the planet of dreams and visions and beauty and love and unconditional love, but also deception and fraud. Well, it's going to have its personal moment Wednesday evening, 7:39 p.m. Eastern time, Wednesday, March 15th. Neptune, a Cazimi is like purification and reprogramming. It's like you're purified in the fires of the sun. So there's this reprogramming that is going on, and it's exact at that moment. Of course, Neptune's so dang slow. The sun is the one that moves off of that point faster than Neptune. Mercury zippity doo, but Neptune, right? And the sun's like, okay, I'm gonna have my private audience, and then goes off. But anyway, that can be, that really speaks to, you know, this reprogramming from, I'm not going to defraud or deceive myself or others anymore. I'm going to come into what is true and what is real. This is a place where we can drop confusion and deception, and we can move from shame to love and forgiveness. So wherever this is occurring in your chart, wherever you have Pisces in your chart, that's the area of your life where you can be softer on yourself and forgive oneself. Yeah. Now, by Thursday, March 16th, Mars is going to be in an exact square with all of that, right? So he's not, this is the final, it's interesting, the final square is this grand finale of Mars leaving, you know, these three squares that have happened since October, November, and then March this week. It's his grand finale because he's not only squaring Neptune, he's squaring the sun, you know, in that cazimi, the sun and Mercury. Mercury gets into bed with them all, right? Mercury and the sun and Neptune are all going to be at 25 degrees on Thursday, March 16th. Whoa, from 11:26 a.m. Eastern time to 4:56 p.m. That's 5.5 hours Eastern time. That they're all going to be at 25 degrees. So, wow, that's an amazing, that's like, I'm really impressed. Now, it's interesting, like, what does this mean? And how can we use this? Yes, taking that Neptune cazimi, that purification, the shame, dissolving, a dissolution of shame, coming into who we really are, these pure, sweet, authentic beings, these we are aspects of the divine, and maybe it's about reprogramming ourselves to shed everything that is not, all the deception and the fraud, how we've deceived ourselves that we're not that. This is a great opportunity with Mercury there in exile on Pisces. Fabulous, right? There's our mind. There's our mind getting cleansed. Our thoughts, our behaviors, our conversations, how we listen and process information. We can let go of the rational mind. When Mercury's in Pisces, nothing's rational. Just ask the bank people. Excuse me, why did you add this? You know what happened with, by the way, I went to the can I just say, stop this for a second? I went to the supermarket yesterday and I tried the card. It didn't go through, right? I'm like, okay, I got to use the other bank account, right? And even though they said it was fixed, it wasn't. But then I look on my computer screen today, and the debit, that was the amount of money I bought in groceries, the debit showed up as a credit in the other account that was supposedly dead. Yeah, you know, that emoji with the eyeballs. I'm like, oh yeah, we had a little more time with this, but anyway, yeah, not much longer, but anyway, so back to this magical moment. I just want to really, if I can impress one thing on you for this week's astrology, it is this incredible opportunity here for reprogramming, and with our thoughts, our connections with our siblings and sisters, brothers, cousins, in-laws, neighbors, the people that we are networked with, you know, and the way in which we listen and process information, listening and receiving, giving and taking, speaking, certainly our words, you know, with that harshness that Mars and Gemini, Mars in Mercury's temples, a lot of fighting, a lot of arguments and fighting, and nasty, right? We have to really curb ourselves. But this square with Neptune is that in an overcoming position. So this wash in this ocean of compassion, like the whales, you know, the whale, I'm saying about listening to whale music. If you have to whip out that whale tape again, whatever, whales, mantras, whatever floats your boat, some sweet, beautiful love songs, whatever it takes. But using this opportunity, we can really be reprogrammed and reborn in the fires of the sun. And so, yeah, and the domicile ruler of this, of course, Jupiter being domicile ruler of Neptune in traditional astrology, and Neptune being a domicile ruler in modern, but Jupiter is going to be in aversion. So Jupiter in bossy little Aries is not, doesn't get a microphone here. So I'm like, but that's a good thing. That's like, okay, just drown yourself in love, drown yourself in compassion, come from a kind heart. I can't say it enough, you know, use music and art and beauty to, you know, maybe to help telepresence that, whatever it's a dance, I don't know, whatever, poetry, you know, whatever it is, very Neptunian things, movies, you know, a good sob Kleenex movie, whatever it takes to just, you know, keep our hearts open and not be that, you know, the critical self. So that's what I have to say. That's Thursday, March 16th. On that day also, Venus is coming into a square with Pluto at the exact, remember, it's 29 degrees, and that's a karmic degree. So Venus squaring Pluto is also about, it's exactly on that day. It's definitely examining what's under the hood with our family relationships, what subconscious programming or unconscious thoughts and such and structures are in place that are interfering with our ability to love each other, to have intimate partnership, to have committed, you know, kind, loving, intimate relationships, but especially with family dynamics, you know, with Pluto and the final sign of Capricorn. So just using this as an opportunity to really move into that, being brave, Venus in Aries, right? Be brave to lift that sewer cover and go, hey, it's, you know, nobody's gonna hurt you. It's all right. We're just gonna do this so that we can take action and be bold, so we can clear this up, this, you know, family karma, things that have held us back from reprogramming, letting go. When we let go and purify ourselves of those toxic elements, what's available is rich soil to reprogram, to build a beautiful, sustainable structure of family dynamics that is free from past karma, free from the pain body. One of the things I heard from when my sister told me the sad news about my our cousin once removed was our second, I don't know, I get confused with all that stuff, but anyway, yeah, when we heard the sad news about the suicide overdose, she also said that you know, his mom had, who was our second cousin, his mom had been estranged from her father for many years. You're angry about having been divorced. So you can see again at play all this anger and toxic sludge that's been in the way. But sadly, it's they have agreed to meet and to repair. It took a tragedy like this to happen, but oh well, at least it's finally going to happen. But there's this opportunity for reprogramming. So I just thought I'd share that too with you. So just prayers to all people, all of us who are going through this, whatever area in our life where Aries and Capricorn are in your chart, that is the area that is going to be under, you know, it will bring, especially with Venus transiting through whatever house that Aries is in your chart, is where you're going to be seeing this. Okay, right after this karmic final degree square with Pluto, 2.5 hours later on Thursday the 16th, Venus leaves exile in Aries and moves into Taurus, which is where she loves to be, right? Oh, eating, hedonism, pleasure, chocolate, peel me a grape, food, right? Venus into Taurus till April 11th. She will be transiting through this luscious, sensual sign. Well, you know, I just got to think about St. Paddy's Day this year. Now, I personally no longer pretend. When I was single in Manhattan, yeah, of course, it was another excuse to get drunk. I don't know. I was not on my spiritual path. And I was certainly not an astrologer. However, I just have to say, the astrology for St. Paddy's Day, oh my goodness, like, can everybody just, can we all like kind of, maybe not, it's going to be a lot of overindulgence. So we're just going to say, and drive safe, please. Get a designated driver, please. It's Venus's day. Friday is Venus's day. Sun is at Venus's degree of exaltation, 27 Pisces, and Venus is in her domicile in Taurus. So you talk about hedonism, you talk about holiday making, fun, maybe, you know, there's Venus, the one who's magnetic and attracts, and the seduction factor, and, you know, but overcoming square to Mars and Gemini, a lot of yeah, there's just a lot of hedonism. I was going to say, where am I getting this overcoming square to Mars and Gemini? Taurus is not squaring Gemini. Forget that. Mercury and Pisces. But seriously, Venus, hedonism, pleasure on, and the sun is enclosed by a fallen Mercury and Neptune. So there is a lot of energy around, you know, I would say with the sun in Pisces. Yes, the sun is, yeah, the sun, sorry, let me rephrase that. The sun in that square with Mars and Neptune, you know, you're still feeling the square with Mars and Neptune. We'll still be feeling, let me say this one more time, Mercury and Pisces, I gotta get this flat. Okay, give me a break here. All right, so the sun is in an overcoming square to Mars and Gemini, so there could still be, there's a lot that speaks to fighting, okay, like drunken barroom brawls, or drunken youths, or angry lashing out or something. But you know, fueled by alcohol, right? Pisces is fueled by alcohol consumption, all that green beer. I'm just going to say, drive safe and avoid road rage. Okay, end of discussion. Moving on. The last thing I want to just bring up is Saturday, March 18th, we have Mars is still out of bounds, and he's finally reaching maximum declination. So Mars has been out of bounds for right before it went retrograde at the end of October, around 20-something, 22nd of October. So out of bound Mars means that the arguments have been on steroids. They have been rageful. The whole, you know, the narratives and the arguments and the standing, but also, you know, standing up and to listen in new directions and take you know, take other points of view, or being able to, when you think about Gemini, like a dual narrative, or listening to both sides of a story. This has been really, really, really important for us. Well, with Mars out of bounds, it just ups the ante. So it's like if you're imagining driving down in a lane of traffic and your car kind of veers over the pavement lines. Mars has been outside those pavement lines since October 28th, incrementally getting further and further out. Well, now by Saturday, March 18th, Mars will reach its maximum boundary crossing, so to speak. It'll start gently moving back into closer and closer to where it belongs, right alongside the ecliptic. And so it will start to rein in. So there's the outrageous, you know, outbursts, you know, and impulsive speaking and thoughts and blah, 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 all that stuff is going to start to get reined in. By May 5th, easy to remember, Cinco de Mayo, it'll be back in bounds. So this has been quite a journey for Mars, being retrograde and out of bounds and squaring Neptune. It's like triple treat. Anyway, it's all finally starting to correct itself. And that's all I have for you this week. I hope you have enjoyed this. Please remember, again, like, share, subscribe. And I love hearing your stories. Tell me how this Mercury in Pisces is for you. Hopefully your bank accounts are still there. Go check them if you haven't already, because you never know. Swim with the mermaids and have fun with this the rest of the week. And forgive yourself and everybody else. Okay, that's my signing off there. All right. Big love to all of you. This is Irlianna Samsara, StarSound Speaks, StarSoundAstrology.com. Thank you for listening. Oh, by the way, can I just say, I'm so excited. I talked to Andrea Michelle the other day, and she is coming back, and she's going to be our, I'm getting chills just saying this. She's going to be our tour guide for the eclipses. Yay, but at my request. Her delineations are so beautiful. They remind me of like gossamer silk. It's just exquisite. This is going to be great with the goddess, right? South node moving. This is going to be a solar eclipse in Aries, and it'll start up when we're starting to move into our Aries Libra axis. So of eclipses. So this should be very exciting. Very happy to tell you. And my fabulous would-be husband, if he didn't bat for the other team, Michael Bartlett. Michael, I love you. We just had a deep dive about Saturn and Pisces, and I'm learning iMovie. So I'm like, I almost got it down because I wanted to add like all these like cool little movie things and clips and things. But anyway, watch for that. It'll be coming very, very shortly. So that's all for now. Mwah, big love. See you next time. Irlianna Samsara, StarSound Speaks, StarSoundAstrology.com. Bye-bye.